Hi guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Dingo channel. My name is Zali and today I'm really excited to be joined by David Pollock from Wooleen Station. I'm just about to show you a clip of, unfortunately, a very sad situation where we discovered a dead dingo on the side of the road on Wooleen. What's happened here?
So we're on Wooleen, so there shouldn't be dead dingoes with cable ties around their feet that have been strung up in the tree. Either someone's shot it here on Wooleen, which is illegal, or they've shot it somewhere else and brought it here to hang on Wooleen in the tree as some sort of weird message. But it's been like it's had its ears cut off on either side, so they'll take them into the Murchison settlement, which is only half an hour down the road. They'll take its ears in and claim a bounty. So they'll get cash for its ears, essentially. Even though, in all likelihood, it's been shot illegally on my property. An animal which, to me, is probably worth $20,000 in terms of the good that it does. They can go into the Shire and cash its ears in for a couple of bucks, which is just crazy. And it'll be marked down as one more dead wild dog, although it is plainly about as dingo as it could possibly be.
So I wanted to ask you, why is it that the local council supports killing of dingoes?
Yeah, it's simply the culture of the region, and not just our region. Like, there's quite a lot of Australia has that culture of, dingoes are the enemy and a real impediment to production. This everybody used to have sheep out here. Everybody has cattle now, but the wool industry used to be really massive. When they talk about Australia rode on the sheep's back, there was so much money coming from the wool industry. And dingoes were definitely a big impediment to running sheep. So yeah, dingoes essentially were the enemy for such a long time, and we're only now realising how important they are ecologically to actually keep the system healthy and intact and make sure that there's enough food for our grazing animals, and how important they are for our production systems. But still, we have this culture of dingoes being the enemy, and the only good dingo is a dead dingo. So, our Shire certainly is stuck with that paradigm, and they give out bounties for killing dingoes, but it's incredibly unproductive.
So you've been using the term dingo instead of wild dog. Why is it that you don't use the term wild dog?
Yeah, well, I get that question a lot. People ask me, because I do use the term dingo all the time, they say, well, yes, but are they dingoes or are they wild dogs? And the mere fact that they ask that question shows that they've been deceived, because they actually think that those two things are different things. And they're not. Like, the term wild dog was created about 25 years ago to justify, government spending public funds on killing a native animal. And under the West Australian, or all the Ag Department's classification of the term wild dog, it includes purebred dingoes. And people at home they don't know that. They think, when you say the term wild dog, it conjures up a very different mental image than does the term dingo. So when you say wild dog, they don't think, picture postcard, ginger dingo. But that's what they should be thinking, because when those animals get killed, they're killed as wild dogs, but they're not. They're dingoes.
Do you think that the Shire knows that they are dingoes being killed?
Look, I think that they think that they're wild dogs, and that's the culture. And unless you've followed the science for the last 10 years, which I would suggest that a lot of them haven't, the DNA testing that's out there shows overwhelmingly they're just either purebred dingoes or dingoes with very high percentage dingo DNA and very little, amount of domestic dog in it. So, no, and it doesn't. I guess it doesn't help that people see a dog with a colouring that is not, your picture postcard perfect ginger, and then they go, oh, it was black and tan, couldn't possibly be a dingo, but they're not aware that, that those colours are commonly associated with purebred dingoes.
Dingoes.
So they probably think that they're wild dog. I mean, that's part of the culture, and that's part of, essentially why we're trying to educate people so that people understand that that's simply not the case.
The history of the dingoes in the rangelands here has been quite interesting. So back in the 40s, dingoes were really heavily controlled to the point of being totally removed from the area. Did you reintroduce dingoes into the area, or how did they get back into this region?
No, I mean, so they started killing the dingoes as soon as they got here, when they brought their sheep, and they probably had to do that in order to protect their sheep. So from the 1880s through, they killed the dingoes, and the last ones really were killed in the 40s, and then there was no dingoes in this country, and it really suffered because of it. There's way too many grazing mouths eating the vegetation, particularly kangaroos and also goats. So it really decimated the country. Anyway, in the 40s, they sort of pushed all the dingoes out to the limits of the pastoral country, which was to the desert, essentially. So there were still dingoes in the desert, but there was a lot of money being made by the sheep industry, so they could afford a lot of expensive dingo control. But then, as the money went out of pastoralism, to a large degree because the resource became degraded, because there were no dingoes, controlling the grazing pressure, the money went out of pastoralism, and now, people are not, they're not employing the amount of people that they used to employ. So Wooleen used to employ 70 people, and probably 10 of them were full-time killing dingoes. So people are not employing anywhere near those amounts of people now. Most pastoral properties only have 2 people on them, and that's the 2 people that own the property. So they simply don't have the labour force to stop the dingoes coming back, and that's what the dingoes have been doing. They've been coming back from the desert for the last 30 years, and they got here in about 2007. Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. If you want to find out more about how dingoes positively impact the landscape here at Wooleen Station, be sure to check out our next video.